and in today's video, we are going over January predictions for the new year. Not as in new year, but as in it's a new year. January is a time period when a lot of us decide to focus on goals for the year. But can I make a recommendation of something a little bit different? Instead of saying like, this is the year, I'm getting in shape, X, Y, and Z, take a second and use January as a whole to compartmentalize those goals on a day-by-day basis. So example, first day of the year, instead of saying like, okay, I'm going to start working out every day. I'm going to do this many crunches. I'm going to do this many miles, X, Y, and Z. You would say, today, I'd like my goal to be to do something athletic. And maybe you do some yoga or you go for a walk. And you really try to make it be something that's fun, that you vibe with. I'm pretty sure on YouTube there are exercises that they do based on music. So you do it to the music and beat. That's a fun idea. But you just do that. And then Tuesday comes and you don't even need to repeat what you did yesterday. Your new goal, it could be the same goal, or you could say, you know what? I've been really wanting to try new things. And you just find some fun new thing to do, whether that be a new hobby or you try out a new restaurant, but something like that. And so on and so forth day by day. And let it be that, so there's not so many highs and then lows, because that often happens when we are going into that, new goal time period around January. Not that you can't start new goals and, work on it over time, but there's just something about the new year and it being January, we put too much pressure on ourselves, and this might be a great way of proving to yourself that you can over time accomplish goals, but maybe they don't need to look the way you think they should, or how society has made you think they should look like. Because take that same concept as we were just talking about. What if 2 days from that first goal you had, you went back and you did yoga again? And then another day goes by, another goal, so on and so forth, until 3 days after that, you do yoga again. And then before you know it, the month went by and you're like, wow, I worked out a bunch of times this month and I didn't even think about it, and I was much more relaxed and I felt actually more connected during the whole experience. And in addition to working out, I tried all these new things. I got deeper into some form of fun self-care routine that I've been wanting to try for a while. Do you see what I'm saying here? This might make you look at the whole, so to speak, much differently if you look at the individual days or details or expectations you can have for yourself. Also, trying new things or, leveling ourselves up in this kind of way should be fun. So maybe approach it in a way that is a lot more fun. Also, it can help to have, oh my gosh, look at my hands. I look like a mannequin. It's lotion. I put lotion on. But it's a very heavy duty lotion, so we have these hands. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. The point is, I'm really excited for your goals, and I'm excited to get into details about January as a whole, because as you know, when we go into this, we go into whatever's the most important. So if money pops up, we're talking about it. If love pops up, we're talking about it. Career, anything you need to focus on, anything to be aware of, whatever it may be, overall focuses or themes for the month, so on and so forth, things that I'm not even off the top of my head remembering to mention. And if it pops up, we're going to get into detail about it. And remember, we're talking about the stuff that's important that pops up. So for whatever reason, if we're not mentioning it, it's just not a focus for your month. And that doesn't mean it can't pop up another time. But that also counts for if we hear something that we're not exactly like want that, or it's initially a feeling of like, oh no, take a deep breath. listen to the whole reading. If you were familiar with my readings, we work that stuff out. We want to see something like that, if that is the case, because we can change the scenario, we can be forewarned and handle it in a much more relaxing, beneficial way for you. And we can even predetermine the lesson and change that circumstance overall. But overall, these readings tend to be really fun and exciting, things to look forward to, things that will give you drive and excitement. So I'm very pumped to get into this, and I hope you are too. And in addition to that, I wanted to let you guys know, if you would like to support me, I have a Patreon I'm very passionate about. I'm actually slowly working my way up to almost 200 videos over there. As you can tell, it's jam-packed with exclusive content and information where I go to the Akashic Records and I consult my spirit guides and I get a bunch of information. I also have a lot of psychic exercises over there. I channel many different beings, including the archetypes of the tarot cards, so on and so forth. It's just such a fun time and beautiful community over there. And if you're interested in supporting me and checking that out, you can look for that in the description below. But I just wanted to mention, I just posted 2 new videos over there. One is a very long-awaited, huge tour of my entire tarot collection, where I show you all the cards. If I can remember where I got them, I will tell you where I got them, but I show the cards, I show the name of them, and I go through all of them, just so if anything, piques your interest, you can go get them for yourself. And I also talk about the reason why I liked ones over others, just in case that helps you, in addition to finding the deck of your choosing. And then the second video is a very fun, this is so awesome. So I am an advanced Reiki practitioner, and I have a video going up there where I am doing Reiki, but here's the really fun part. So I have been requested by, well, I don't know if I should say here, I'll say it over on my Patreon. I have been requested by some beings from the spirit realm to sort of do some new stuff with that. So essentially, I will be simultaneously Reikiing you and also coding you at the same time. And it's really fun. I think it's a good time. And all you have to do is show up, give permission, watch the video, and receive the benefits. And who doesn't love that? Good vibes. So if you'd like that, that's in the description below. And in addition to that, I have an intuition training course and a tarot training course. In the intuition training course, oh, I can't tell if you can hear that. Look, give me a second. I'm so sorry about the interruption. Going back to what we were talking about, I have an intuition training course where I explain how to get to the spirit realm, meet your spirit guides, and how what you learn and experience there in the non-physical overlaps way more than you may realize in the physical world, and how you can use that in your practical everyday life. I find it super helpful when it comes to manifesting, working through past lives, just honestly understanding why and what is going on in the world around me. And in addition to that, I have a tarot training course where it makes all the complexity of tarot much more simplified. I give away all my secrets, but without losing any of the details of the information. What I mean is I simplify the process without losing any of the details of the information. And I have over 100 page PDF in there where it enables you to get into reading the cards right away. And that then makes it so that you can ask questions on the fly whenever you want, and it's just a really useful skill and, fun thing to do. And both of those resources are available in the description below. So going back to our reading, as you can see here, going back to January, I want you to think of January, maybe even think of the ideal January, whatever that may be. And I want you to hold it in your heart before you ask yourself, which card group do I choose? I'm going to give you a moment to do that and pick the group that resonates with you most. Now that you've picked the group that you vibe with most, oh, I forgot to mention which groups. I'm so sorry. I forgot. The interruption made me forget group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know the group you chose. And let's get started. You can go down in the description to skip to your designated group. And let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's look at your January predictions and see what's going to happen by looking at the cards. We have the Empress card upright, the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Six of Wands in reverse, the Nine of Wands in reverse, the Seven of Swords in reverse, the Three of Cups upright, the Eight of Cups in reverse, and your affirmation card, which I think this is gonna be better looking. I also think it's gonna be better looking aesthetically. I love to have you guys a part of this process because I feel like it makes us better tarot readers to discuss and figure out how we got to those conclusions so we can all teach each other and be that much better at tarot reading. But also, I think it's really fun to better understand the information that's being given to you by having a visual component. It's both just on its own, like a good time, like you're hearing a story, because that's very much what's happening, the story of your life. But also, it's something that clicks better. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely a visual learner. Let me know, sound off in the comments below, what kind of learner are you? Or would it be studier? Whatever it may be, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious, and I just think this looks prettier. So just give me one moment to look at the details of everything. That's going to be really important for the month, and I'm going to consult my spirit guide, so just give me one moment. Yeah, that's going to be very important. Okay, let us get into this. Okay, so this is really important in general, these two first cards, I would definitely say, because they're going to give you the motivation for some of this stuff popping up over here, and then it gets more fun again over here. But this is definitely something you're going to want to rely on and put more of your attention toward. So first, this one. This is your affirmation card. I deserve love and respect because I give them. And let's read the back, because my spirit guide said to read the back. So use this gift when you feel that you are not getting the love and respect you deserve, or you need and deserve. If you are able to show your love and respect for others, they should do the same to you. It is not egotistical to demand respect. The affirmation can empower you to tell others how you feel in an appropriate manner. My spirit guide said, you want to do this all month. Now, we're going to get more specific on this card over here when it comes to that affirmation. But this is something my spirit guide said you want to do all month. That you're taking on this different, empowered way of actively being a loving person. It's not just, hey, you know what? I'm going to really tap into expressing myself this way because I feel more loving. I like to give love. I'm putting it out there so I can receive more of it, both romantically, friendship, just lovely vibes whenever you're purchasing something or having an encounter with an acquaintance or an old friend or something like that. But in addition to that, you're putting it out there with this vibe of being like, listen, just because I'm nice doesn't mean I don't know how to set a boundary. And I'm going to let you know that I'm happy to return this to you if you want to give this back to me. But if you don't, while I am still a loving and respectful person, I'm a good person, that I'm not a bad person because I'm going to set a boundary with you. And I'm letting you know you could be a part of this like fun and relaxing good time, but if you don't want to, then good. Thank you for showing me who you are. We're gonna just sort of set a boundary, because contrary to popular belief, while in the long term, and this is just like a side note, you're growing as an individual, maybe you want to take your spiritual development more seriously, and you start to feel more connected to the cosmos, and you feel like a greater compassion for your peers. There is nothing unspiritual about going, I see you're still learning lessons. I don't need to be a part of that process. Goodbye now. That is not a lack of love. It is okay to give space to yourself. And honestly, you're giving space for them to work out their own issues. You don't need to be a part of that process, because we're not in charge of other people's feelings and emotions and necessarily helping with that. We can if they need help, but we're not in charge of that. That's their responsibility. So this comes from you being proactive about it, but also on a very tiny subconscious level, it's not as scary to be loving and vulnerable, knowing that if somebody does push back, you can easily let them know what your settings are, and if they don't want to be a part of it, goodbye. I'll go share that with someone else. It's not to be being mean to them. It's about just pulling back and putting your attention somewhere else. So I love that. Then we have the Empress card. Now, I do want to put this out there for some of you. This is about actually pregnancy. You know, it's a rare thing to pop up. The Empress card can mean that, but that doesn't mean that's always the case. In this actual case in January, I'm really happy to say some of you are going to get pregnant. I'm also really happy to say that this does not involve anybody. It wouldn't be an accident. These are people who are doing this on purpose. So I want to be clear about that. If anybody is like watching this and they're like, what? It's like, no, it's on purpose. It's on purpose. So for the ones who would like this, I'm really happy to say that's going to be an exciting month for you. And for others, don't worry about that. Now let's talk about the greater meaning for just in general. So this card in particular is focused on my spirit guide, the idea of what you need to get into headspace-wise for everything to work out in your favor. That's very much the Empress card. When she walks forward, she has all of these beautiful plants sprouting around her. Her garden is rich and flourishing without her barely lifting a finger. Naturally, like nature, things just work out in her favor because she is within harmony of everything. And it's sort of like she just doesn't even have to think about it. Like her core knows, oh, I already got this. She doesn't have to pump herself up. So when we talk about things naturally working out your way, you don't need to worry about those details when you're in this headspace. You'll just get free things will get opportunities will come out to you. Maybe something doesn't work initially because something else is opening up. It's really like easygoing, not thinking about it so heavily, feeling really good all the time, just great vibes to be in. But you do want to get into a certain headspace revolving around the zodiac signs for January in order to facilitate that so the rest of the month feels that good. So when we talk about that, this is how my spirit guide was pointing it out visually. See this beautiful star ring behind her? This is being used as sort of a portal, if you will. And the stars are referencing the zodiac signs. So in January, we have Capricorn and Aquarius. And so for the beginning of the month, that's the Capricorn time period, you want to get into a headspace of both being wise and reliable. So and remember, reliability is not just with other people, but also on yourself. There's a feeling of like, I know I can rely on myself to get these certain tasks I want to get done. If somebody asks for, it doesn't have to necessarily be your help, but maybe you're working with them and you're supporting them in your job field, whatever that may be. You're saying to yourself, no worries. I'm your person. So you're being reliable and you're also being wise. And when I say wise, I really want you to focus on this feeling of like, you're pulling back and you're assessing the situation. You're thinking of choices on a longevity scale. You're thinking of choices that are going to affect the whole. You're really tapping into that part of yourself that's assessing everything essentially. So that headspace is opening the portal, if you will, to get you into that zone of just everything then around you working out in your favor. Then, as the Aquarius season kicks in, you want to more focus your attention towards being non-judgmental and specifically creative. Remember, these traits we're pointing out are not the singular notable traits about these zodiac signs. These are just things my spirit guide said that were the most popping up to the surface associated around that time period. So again, around that time period, towards the end of January, you're going to say when you're assessing or making decisions, are you coming from a place of quick judgment, or are you giving it a second to see it as its own thing, not compare it to past projects, past friendships, or are you viewing it as it is and then making assessments from there? But also just in general, being creative. Are you having fun with some artistic projects? Are you approaching things in a creative manner that's maybe a little unconventional, but it ends up being more fruitful in the long run because maybe the creative way you approach something, other people took note and that gave you more opportunities. Again, that's the headspace you're getting in order to create what's going on over here, which is that feeling of like, everything's working out. So you're doing those traits I just expressed in the beginning and the end, depending on the zodiac season, to put you in that headspace for throughout the month to affect everything. Now going forward, here's a little bit of a rough spot we got going here. So first we have Queen of Wands. Whoa, did you hear that? I whistled accidentally with my mouth. That's awesome. With the Queen of Wands in reverse. So let me just double check if this is specifically a female. Okay, so my spirit guide said, no, it's actually not a female. It is either non-binary or a man. Could it also be of other categories that are more masculine? Yes, okay. So these are our categories, not at all just a singular female over here. So these energies over here, these people, by the way, we're not making an assessment about those groups of people. We're just giving some definition of how this individual could potentially show up in your life. So anyways, with the Queen of Wands, this individual is somebody who has really intense magnetic energy, but they unfortunately use it in a really negative way. It's like somebody who's got a lot of insecurities and they are projecting those onto you. Often it has somebody who's quite jealous, that type of scenario and situation. So this person's kind of coming at you with a bit of force and you're like, oh my God, what is your problem? Leave me alone. So when they come into your zone, you're immediately going to set the boundary like, hey, listen, I am happy to be loving and respectful to you, but you got to give that back to me. If you don't give that back to me, I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut ties right now. And when you do that, what I was told by my spirit guide is either this will sort of hit kind of close to home for them, that they'll naturally subdue and sort of go within themselves, almost like a feeling of not full embarrassment, but like maybe a little shame and wanting to pull back and feeling a little intimidated by someone who's confident in their love and vulnerability and boundary making. And for others, this is you setting a boundary, and then you're going to also set it again internally within yourself. And what you're doing once you've set that mental boundary up is things are just going to work in your favor to separate them from you, in the sense of like, if they say something, it just doesn't feel like it resonates or bothers you. It doesn't even enter your headspace. You forget about it immediately. Either way, the solution is you putting it there, and either they pull back or you're just unaffected by it after that. Now going forward to that, we have the Six of Wands in reverse. Now I was told you are going to be getting a leadership position and you are going to be taking it. But here's a little bit of the issue. Easy solution, as we talked about here, easy solution here. Remember, these all have solutions. But it is something you want to really just pay attention to, because wherever we put our attention is almost like you're either feeding it or you're starving it in a good way. So in the Six of Wands in reverse, this is representative of you taking this position, but feeling kind of nervous about it. Like not maybe feeling like you're ready for it, or this feeling of like, oh, am I good enough to be able to handle this, situation for other people, and so on and so forth. And then this unfortunately can cause this thing where you're trying to sort of fake it till you make it, which is actually, in this particular case and scenario, a negative thing. It's this feeling where you in your effort to be like, you know what, I got this, I'm doing it, you're more lost in trying to pump yourself up than giving the best possible work effort. It doesn't mean you're like lazy or anything like that, but it's almost like when your inside say, oh, I don't know if this is the best quality work I can put out there. Part of you is like, you know what, no, that's just my insecurity speaking. I got this, you can do this, but in reality, your insides are actually working fantastically. When you feel that the project or whatever you're working on isn't good enough, it isn't good enough. And you actually want to put all your attention there, because the potential is in your pursuit to try to raise up your nerves, you actually end up under-delivering sort of half-hearted work that's just not to the caliber that you normally can bring. So essentially, easy peasy, no big deal. When you feel those nerves coming in and you're like, ooh, am I going to be a good leader, blah, 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 throw yourself more into the work of it getting done. Focus on how good the thing is, focus on the details, focus on how it gets accomplished. Just focus there. Don't even question the emotional side of you that wants the comfort and to hear like you're good enough. You are good enough. But in this particular case and scenario, you can like lose yourself in trying to receive those answers rather than just, purely getting an end result that you feel both happy with and you can reflect back on and be like, see, I was an amazing leader. So easy solution, but just keep that in mind. Once you get that position and you take it, you're going to want to just be like, okay, no matter my nerves, throw all my attention to the work itself that I'm leading. Now moving forward, I see in the 9 of Wands upright, my spirit guide said we're going to focus on the imagery specifically here. If you notice, we've got this grumbly little crab squid guy, very cool looking. But in this particular case and scenario, think of this as something you wouldn't want to trust. A pain, something that would be annoying after you receive it, some sort of opportunity that you're like, oh, I cannot believe I got myself roped up into this, that type of idea. And if you notice, his little head pokes up to the surface and there's an island right here. And then around that island, we have this. So it's like an island within an island. And if you were given just this, hey, do you like this thing? Do you like this opportunity, this situation, this house, this job position, this relationship? I'm just giving you a ton of different examples. This thing, hey, would you be interested in this? That looks pretty good. That looks pretty interesting. There's even some waters, but assume from first view, the waters seem shallow. It's extra safe because it's an island within an island. That doesn't seem so bad. But little do you know, there's something under those shallow waters that is quite deeper and not something you're going to be proud and exciting about, or not proud of. You're not going to be really pumped about once you receive it. It's sort of that like idea of like the island is a lie type of scenario. So essentially, what my spirit guide said is you're going to be given this situation. They're going to be like, hey, you want this thing? And initially it will seem pretty good. Again, it's uncorrelated with this job opportunity. It's uncorrelated with a lot of these things. These are all separate. And it's very easy. All you're going to do is you're going to pull back from making the decision to say yes right away. You're purely going to focus on saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself a second. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to look around. I'm going to ask some questions. Easy peasy. You're just going to ask some questions. You're going to see their response. You're going to get a little more detailed about the circumstance you're being handed. And you will very quickly be like, oh, so it's not that great. Huh. And essentially you will avoid taking on something that would be an absolute pain. So it's going to look pretty darn good, pretty darn easy. You're going to stop. You're going to say, just give me a second to think about it. And here's the great thing. You should be able to be given that opportunity to think about it for a couple days. You should be able to ask questions and get an answer. So it will be pretty easy to sense either the reluctance and then feel the underlying, crab monsters we were just describing. Or you'll hear something and put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, wait a minute. So it's just a simple, hey, forewarning, you see this? Give it a second, ask some questions, as we talked about before, be wise, and you'll get the answers and you'll pull back. Now, these are all related to each other. So I want to first talk about the center one, which is friendship. It's going to be a social time for you. I did double check if sometimes, due to circumstances, if that's a socialness can also count if you're, video chatting or on the phone or something like that. Can you still be social like that? And I was told yes, it would still count. You would be social. And it doesn't necessarily mean social as in a group of people. It can be just one other friend. You're talking a lot. You're having a really good time, but just very joyous and happy January for you. A lot of things working out in your favor just naturally, as we talked about, you practicing over here, having a lot of love, having just fun all month, really feeling, it can feel really cathartic to bond with people that you just vibe with, you know what I mean? But from that circumstance, we have these two scenarios going on. So one in the Seven of Swords in reverse, I was told you will find out about some secrets. Let me just double check one thing with my spirit guides. Yeah, okay. I was just double checking the secrets didn't mean it was about your friends. It was outside of the friend group, but maybe you learn it from the friend. You know what I mean? But apparently, the way my spirit guide described it is January isn't really like a cleansing month for you, but more of you getting all the truth and the facts that you need. So you start off the year with all the right information. So from there, you can kind of go forward and make the decisions you want to make. And I was told these secrets are something that you've wanted to know for a while, essentially. So that's going to come to the surface and you'll know about that finally, which is pretty cool. Again, just hanging out with your friends, you'll hear about it. And then over here, we have the Eight of Cups in reverse, which is actually being read upright. It is instead in reverse, so it's facing this card. This is what's so interesting about tarot. Yes, this is in reverse, but I was told by my spirit guide it's in reverse. Over here it's in reverse, but my spirit guide told me it's actually upright, but it's in reverse in order to move and let you know it's moving towards the friends. Technically within it in reverse, there is a sense of them running into each other either way, but just so you better understand. So in this particular case scenario, this is actually focused on this idea of traveling. And I was told, because I had an inkling and a feeling, you're not going to be traveling in January, but it's associated with your friends that the plans will be made in January and then going forward out of January, then there will be some traveling. Is it with the friends or because of the friends? Because of the friends. Okay, cool. So overall, a pretty stellar January. I'm very excited for you. Just some things to know about so you can make the right decisions and have the best leadership position. Deal with this person that isn't the friendliest and going through a hard time, and send some boundaries with yourself. Also, avoiding a circumstance you don't exactly love. I do also want to point out, sometimes when we're practicing new versions of ourselves, these type of things pop up, not because you are in any way, shape, or form. It's like, oh, why is this happening to me? Oh, well, of course, I just start being this way in my mantra and I get this. It's actually a positive thing. It's like the universe saying, we're giving you an opportunity so you can literally put into practice what you're putting out into the world and show yourself how capable you are of setting those boundaries but still being loving. You know what I mean? You're being loving, things are working out in your favor with the directions we were talking about, some friendships, some future plans, knowing about things you've wanted to know for a whole time. Pretty good January overall. I hope you're so excited about it. Please let me know what you think of this reading, and I would really love to know if you have any fun just goals or things you're going into affirmation wise in general into the new year. I'd love to hear about it. And please give this video a like, a subscribe, and a notification. Hit that notification bell and potentially subscribe, share. It helps out like you would not believe. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's look at what will happen with your January predictions by looking at the card. We have got the Justice card upright. Then we have the Tower card in reverse. Wow, that is a pretty powerful combination. 2 of Wands in reverse. Actually, I know I have an affirmation card in here, so actually let me move these cards over. We've got the 4 of Pentacles upright, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, 6 of Swords in reverse, the 8 of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, okay. That really explains a lot. Give me just 1 second to look at all these cards to get all the information and to consult my spirit guides. I love this. I love this so much. Okay, get ready to get empowered because we are getting empowered. So we're going to have to discuss some things that might initially be a little bit hard to hear. Don't worry, we've got confirmation. It's all going to work out in your favor. And this is more of decision making within you. And you're going to be really happy with the decisions you make in the long run and how it'll all add up, but we're going to have to discuss some things. But remember, keep an open mind. These things wouldn't pop up in the reading unless they were important enough. And it's fantastic they're popping up so you can face them, deal with them, and have the life that you truly deserve to have. So first, let's go with an important theme of this reading. Your affirmation card. I let go of things that are no longer useful. Turning it in reverse. Use this gift when you are resisting letting go of outmoded ways of thinking and acting and people who are taking advantage of your time, energy, and other resources. If you want new people, places, things, situations, and ideas to come to you, you must make room for them in your life. Then enjoy your new freedom and know that exciting things await you. I find this incredibly inspiring as an affirmation for your whole month and something you're going to kind of mantra to yourself, saying, I'm letting X, Y, and Z go because I'd rather have something else. And I'm clearing it out so I can be ready for it. I'm open to it. I want these other things. And we're going to talk about that positivity when it comes to dreaming in a moment over here. So first, let's start with the Justice card, and I do want to talk about how it's associated with the Power card in reverse, but I want to talk about the importance that's going on here with the Justice card in reverse and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. You're going to notice a theme that's going on over here and a theme over here that's not too different. They are different subjects, but there's almost a similarity to them. Both of these cards reference on their own the idea of karma. And karma is being, worked out here essentially throughout January. Now, what do I mean when I say that? So I want to be clear here. Karma is not purely you did something bad, so you're dealing with it, or it's punishment, or anything like that. It is something you haven't let go of, something you haven't worked through, maybe something that really struck you in another lifetime, and it's popping up to the surface now. It's a huge reason why, not every time, I want to be clear, but you'd be surprised how many times things come to the surface randomly at times in our life, whether that be for a day, for a few months. Sometimes when people are having trouble letting it go, it can be a couple years. But it's this idea that when it comes up, you're suddenly dealing with some sort of feeling or emotion you're not used to feeling, or whatever it may have you. The point being is when this feeling and situation pops up, you need to deal with it. And when you deal with it, that is you working out the karma. That is you letting it go from this lifetime, the past lifetimes. It no longer gets brought to you in the future in this lifetime, nor in the others. And so it's popping up and being thrown in your face to say, let's deal with this. So what are we dealing with? So first off, we have the Tower card in reverse, and again, a very positive confirmation card of the idea of something that's been bothering you for a while, a long-standing issue that's finally being let go of. The Tower card in reverse is very, 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 very intense. It is super cathartic when we let these things go, these things that have been bothering us, mindsets, fears, whatever they may be. And in your particular situation, you're letting go of what's going on in the Justice card. And once you let that go, and I'm happy to say the confirmation card is that you proactively let it go and have success letting it go in January, is in the Justice card. This is when an individual is frustrated because they feel that they put a certain amount of effort in and there's an expectation that they deserve to get that back in reverse. But here's the thing. My spirit guide said that you need to let that go. You can't just expect from others that same in return. Now, in the grand scheme of things, We're all hoping for that to be the case. And that's not saying that necessarily that can't overall happen and that can't be the dream. But right now, there's an energy approaching a situation of being like, I did X, Y, and Z. Why aren't you doing A, B, and C back? And it's about you getting into this really happy situation where you finally let go of how other people interact with you. You're letting go of whatever they decide. And when you're making decisions, you're making them because you just want to make them. So if you feel like that's not necessarily something you want to do, and let's say initially with this mindset, you would have said, well, if I do that, they might give me this opportunity. Well, they might not. So go back to the question, do you want to do that thing? Not really. Well, then don't do it. But what if I don't get that opportunity? You can't do it with the chance hope that you might. Do it because you want to do it. Because if they don't give you the opportunity, you'll be like, you know what? But I did want to do that thing. I did want to do that favor. I did want to do that project. I did want to help that friend. That was fun for me. I liked that thing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that type of concept going on here. So you're letting that go. You're letting go of that mindset. You're not thinking, well, I did this, I hope they give this in return. You're doing things purely because you want to do them. So there's this sense of relief because you're letting go of the expectations of others, but there's this reattuning back into yourself because that's what happened. You aren't giving yourself attention. You're putting your attention towards the outcome. But the beautiful thing is you can get back in tune with yourself and regularly and check in with yourself and go, you know what? The vast majority of the stuff I'm doing, I hate it. And that's a good thing. You check in and go, I'm going to go do things I actually want to do because I want to do them. There's a lot of happiness behind it. Just generally, like, you just feel this sense of like you're living your life for you again. And you weren't aware that when you were trying to move ahead in life or hoping to get certain reactions back from people in certain interactions, you actually were putting yourself last on your list. You were putting this idea, this concept, these outcomes, even if you wanted them, they were outside of yourself. And you were putting intangible things that weren't even coming into reality left. They were giving them importance when they didn't even exist yet. And that's not what we want to do for you. You exist now. Your happiness can exist now. You deserve to feel excited right now, not what could be. So this is you connecting to that and actively throughout the month, rather than doing something and hoping something back or thinking you need to. This is you regularly checking in with yourself and being like, do I even want to do this? And cathartically being like, no, and then not doing it. Or going, you know what? Forget everything. I really like doing this. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And exactly doing that. So I love that for you. Very excited, very cathartic. But moving on, we have that dreamy attitude continuing in the Two of Wands upright. And this is very much a dreamer's mindset. I love this. This card gets a little more expounded upon compared to other Two of Wands cards. Normally when you have a Two of Wands situation, you have somebody who is in a planning situation, but they're usually in their castle, their location, their situation. So it implies they haven't left yet. They're not enacting on those dreams. They're just thinking about them right now. And usually you can see a landscape in front of you. So it's this idea of like they're planning to go out and they're going to go out, but they haven't gotten there yet. In this particular case and scenario, if you look in the card, there is no landscape behind this individual. They are surrounded by mist and fog, and it hasn't sort of materialized, if you will. And I love how my spirit guide put it. They said, your future hasn't been fully decided or written in stone quite yet. And January, my spirit guide said, is a fantastic month for you to dream. If you want to do a vision board, or maybe I think another good example is Pinterest is a good way of collecting ideas, or I don't know if anybody is on Tumblr anymore. If you do, shout out in the comments below. I'm genuinely very curious. But the point is, you are going to actively say to yourself, I'm going to dream. I'm going to dream. I'm thinking about it. I'm connecting to these ideas. I'm imagining what could be throughout the year, who I want to be, where I want to go, what do I want to experience, and you're just having fun. So sometimes some of these dreams are very outlandish. You're not even sure how they could possibly happen, and some of them are a little more closer into reality. Let it go far into unrealistic territory, and keep in mind nothing's unrealistic, and then let it also simultaneously be a little closer to home. And you're letting yourself dream and enjoy that, not only to get you in a more hopeful atmosphere and vibe, but you are also simultaneously creating that landscape in front of you for the rest of the year. It can come into existence based on what you do. You have the power to, and this is you enacting your power. So I love that. You go from feeling disempowered, or whatever the word would be, not feeling like you're in power, to the opposite. And we love that for you. Now going forward, again, this is a little more of a difficult conversation again, but we have Four of Pentacles upright, reacting with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. I'm very happy to say this is not referring to you having any form of bad luck. Now initially, that is how the feeling is. Like, there's a feeling you're seeing that, but it's not the reality. So I want you to look at this card, and this is why it's so great to have multiple decks of tarot cards so you can get a greater meaning out of your experience. This is you connecting to this, this is you getting a deeper reading into the card itself. So, if you can tell in the Four of Pentacles, this traditionally refers to somebody who is in a lacking type of mindset. But I want to be really clear. This is someone who feels they cannot spend money or they are without money. And this is in particular case in January is referring to your finances because they feel they have a limited resources. They are seeing that they only have so much coming in, only so much saved up, and they're deeply concerned with, well, I can't do that because I don't see me having a future in X, Y, and Z. I don't see anything yet coming my way. I don't feel I can depend on the potential possibility of things working out my way. I don't want to risk it. But I want you to focus on something. That's just a mindset. Keep that in mind. Four of Pentacles doesn't always mean that you actually are in that situation. And that's something I'm really happy to report. So if you notice over here, and this is what my spirit guide pointed out, genius as they always are, these little images of these little skull faces are not actually something that the individual, the whole face, is looking at. They think they're looking at these two beings looking back at them. This sense of, we'll look at it as a representation of fear or the lacking of. But in fact, the visuals are coming from within the eyeballs themselves. The fear is not outside of them, but within them. The lacking is not actually around you. It's coming from within you. Not as in you are producing a lacking. It's that you think that you're looking around you and you think you're seeing all these examples as to why you have the right to take on this mindset. But in reality, it's just coming from within you, and then therefore you are giving your own self reasons to pull back and hold on and think that this is the case. And I want to be clear here. This individual thinks they're looking at the Wheel of Fortune card in reverse, which can potentially refer to bad luck. In this particular case and scenario, I'm really happy to say that's not the case at all. And instead, in this particular case and scenario, this is referring to the idea of resisting giving up cycles. That you know there's a habit that's not working for you anymore, as we've talked about over here and here. Karma is very much part of it. It keeps repeating each lifetime. And there's a part of you that's like, I can't give it up. I can't give up this mindset because what if I do and then I go through my resources and I really have nothing? It's that type of feeling and scenario. But the reality is, when it gets popped up this way, it's an incredible positive subtext. It's saying, that's a habit. That's just you. You're creating the cycle. It's not actually reality. It's not actually what is and what can potentially continue to be, as in like more positive stuff coming your way, more opportunities, more money, more hours for you to work, whatever that may be. So this is you throughout January saying, you know what? I'm practicing a mindset that's not helping me. I'm saying it's okay to think these things, and I'm giving all this permission, but I don't really feel this is working for me anymore. I don't want to find a bunch of reasons why I am without. I don't want to accept and think I deserve to feel a certain way, and that somehow is my comfort. I'd like to find those opportunities. I'd like to be open to receiving those opportunities. That's actually a fantastic way to get out of this headspace. If you feel it's too much for you to fully loosen your grip and just truly believe that it's all going to work out in your favor, you can easily start with just mantras that are like something you can accept. Like instead of saying to yourself, well, I can't, but, or this is all I have, or this isn't how it works for me, changing all that to, I'm more open to seeing things work out in my favor. I'm more open to accepting good things in my favor. I'm willing to see what could be. I'm open to accepting money. I believe that at any moment things can work out better in my favor. I see that the money I have now is continuing to grow, and I see what it is and what it could be. And you're just using what you can accept mantra-wise until you get into a bigger belief system. But this way you were practicing seeing it is just sort of mentally blocking you from what could be. And again, what is in your favor? Because things are more than you may realize and be able to connect to. And when you change that type of thinking, change those mantras, you're allowing yourself to see it, connect to it, and have it, and change what you thought was your scenario. So I love that for you. You're giving up some karma, giving up things that are not fun for you to experience. You're connecting to yourself. You're connecting to your success and abundance. You're letting go, as we talked about over here, things that are no longer working so you can make room for what you really want. Now, last but not least, this is just a last bit of something to think about throughout the month, again, so things work out in your favor. In this particular case and scenario, we are reading the Eight of Pentacles. This is on reference to my spirit guide. Eight of Pentacles is being read in reverse, but this card is not being read in reverse, the Six of Wands, so it's being read upright, and it's sailing into the Eight of Pentacles. So when we have a Six of Swords upright, and just for reference, I'm going to put this here just so the visuals make sense. This is somebody who it's a confirmation card, I'm really happy to say. When I say confirmation card, it's like saying, not only is it going to work out, but we know within this reading, yes, it's going to work out, even tenfold, and so that's really awesome. So this is showing you leaving the month of January, you really figured stuff out, you worked through those things, you let those things go. We've had so many confirmation cards of things working out in your favor. You're changing, you're shifting the whole way you're approaching everything. But with it being a Six of Swords instead of like a Chariot card or something like that, it's a bit slower. It's a bit rougher. You're moving forward, but maybe you fall back a little bit into old patterns for a hot second before you pull yourself out back again. Or it feels difficult to go through. There's a sense of roughness around it. You get through it, but it's a little rough. It's a little slower. It feels uncomfortable. Now, how can we change that scenario? Because we can always change the scenario. The main problem is with what's going on in the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. This is you overly focused on the minute details of things. So let's say, hey, don't worry, money's going to come into your pocket next week. And you're like, but when? How? What should I do? Where should I go? It's like too much details. Or maybe you're getting the opportunity in front of you and you're like, but what about this? But what about that? Don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with being aware of certain background information so you can use it to your advantage. It's good to be intelligent and super aware and have all the details in many respects, but in your case and scenario, this is somebody who's overly obsessed with the details. It's not helping them. Every time you're doing it, think of it as representing like a mindset, a thought. And because swords represent thoughts and mindset, think of it as another sword in your boat, slowing you down, creating holes in water. And what is water represented? Water in this case and scenario is representing this idea of emotions. And your boat sort of flows a little bit more with emotions. You're a little more reactive emotionally than you'd like to be. It makes the experience a little more uncomfortable. So what are you going to do throughout the month? You're going to do the best you can to take on a mindset of generalization. What do I mean by generalization? So here's the fun thing. Everybody is manifesting and working through their problems a little bit different than somebody else. Because that's how it is. We're all unique, and so therefore we got to work through our things uniquely. So sometimes for some people, it's like you need to get a little more specific. And for other people, you need to be a little more general. So essentially, throughout the month, you're going to really focus on saying things like, so let's say you're going to have a nice day. Instead of going through all the details of what you think a nice day would be, in this case and scenario, you're going to just sum it up and go, you know what? I'm going to have a nice day. Maybe that nice day means you're going to get some extra money. Maybe that nice day means you get extra good parking spots or a free little treat or something like that. Maybe, yeah. But you're just going to keep it open, general. You're going to trust. You're going to back up. Or back off. And you're going to just not think about it. And you're going to start every scenario and day with, it's all going to work out. And you're just going to back up. You're not going to worry about, because there might be details working out, people working in your favor. Not just like spirit guides, but physical people, your peers that are doing things that you'll never hear about, and you have no idea how much they threw things in your position, and you don't need to know about it. You just need to back up and know it's going to come your way. And sometimes it's really good to practice the opposite of what you previously experienced. Previously, you were a very detailed reasoning person. You're going to be a little more general, a little more hopeful. You're trying something out. Think of it this way, because you are very logic-based. If you did something a certain way and it gave you a certain amount of results, and so that didn't give you the results you liked, it's only logical you do something different. And you'd be shocked and surprised from both my own personal experience and what I've seen in others. Oftentimes, doing the opposite is like the best thing you can do in these type of cases and scenarios. So you were very detailed, you're going to be more general. You needed to know everything and why, you're going to pull out back and just trust and see what happens and give it a second. It's not going to take forever, but sometimes a day can feel like forever. So we're going to recondition the way we view that, and we're going to practice it. So I'm excited for you. Lots of confirmations of you feeling more relaxed, everything feeling smoother, finally feeling like you can decompress, dreaming, making room for all these dreams to come into existence, letting go of that karma. And remember, when karma is affecting us, it affects us. So it's really great that by you choosing these things, you finally work through that karma. It just doesn't pull at your heartstrings the way it did before. It's easier to move on after this. And I'm just really excited for you. January is going to be a really cathartic month, and that's just fantastic. So anyways, please let me know what you think of this reading and how excited you are to just feel that sense of like a deep breath of relief of like, And let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can see all of my videos. Maybe even share it. It helps out a lot. I'm wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3, let's look at how your January 2022 is going to turn out and what will happen by looking at the cards. I'll start with your affirmation card first. I use criticism only for making things better. I love that. Your tarot cards are the Hangman upright, the King of Pentacles upright, the Hierophant upright, the 6 of Pentacles upright, the 5 of Wands upright, the 7 of Cups in reverse, and the 9 of Wands upright. Okay, give me just one moment to look at everything and to consult my spirit guide. Nice. Okay. If I were to define this month for you, it would be a matter of choices. Choices that you can clearly see, that you will have time to anticipate and make, and that by knowing that you should make these choices and where they can go, just have a really nice month to anticipate the potential of something for, I don't want to say better or worse, but more in your favor and compared to something kind of annoying. You know what I mean? So let's get into that. So first we're going to start with our affirmation card, which, oh my goodness, I love this. This is a fantastic, underrated idea. Often when you're in the spiritual community, there's a lot of repetition of things like loving yourself and peace, and those things are so valid. They really are. But there are so many other sides of the human experience, and this one I think is sort of an underrated one, if you will. I only use criticism for making things better. And let's read the back. Use this gift when you are either the giver or the recipient of criticism. This is meant to tear down rather than build up. We must be truthful with ourselves and others. We cannot improve unless we are able to see what needs improvement. However, when we forget to turn off critical facility, faculty, we become someone who is neither happy nor fun to be with. And I want to be clear, this is very specific to the imagery that my spirit guide was pointing out. If you can see this individual's looking themselves in the mirror, they might be critiquing themselves and deciding what works for them and what doesn't. But here's the important part, my spirit guide said, and this is something major you're going to do all month. It is okay to figure out what isn't working for you. It is not a negative thing as much as I'm all for the act of loving yourself as is. There's nothing wrong with that. We're just using this idea of being honest with ourselves when we're being maybe too negative or seeing the lack of possibilities, or we're finding that a part of ourselves have become a little, and again, I'm not accusing anything, but sometimes in life when we go through certain things, we can be a little bitter, and that's okay. We're going through the different motions, if you will. But it's about being able to be honest when those things appear and just saying like, hey, I'm noticing them. I think I'm going to change that narrative. But also lifting yourself up when you're overly critical of things that are fine, are beautiful, and you probably should give them more love and attention, essentially. So this is you throughout the month having that better narrative and relationship with yourself of being able to be honest with yourself when you need to be, but also being honest with yourself when you're like, hey, are we being mean to ourselves? Is there actually nothing wrong with us and we're pretty great and probably should critique our critique? And this is essentially you having a different relationship with editing yourself, so to speak. So I love this. This is really beautiful, but this actually gets a little more detailed into the reading when we look at, it's kind of the Hierophant, but I was told that either way the Hierophant is relative despite these. So here's our two different outcomes potentially depending on how you flow throughout the month with being self-analytical, we're going to describe it as. So first we have more of the annoying option, as we described before, the Hangman. So this one specifically is very much like the imagery. As you can tell, this person isn't able to move forward with certain goals or go in a direction they want. It doesn't always mean it's a full stop or pause in their life, but maybe they were about to do something and then they get pulled back and they can't do it, essentially. And this is when you are in a state of thinking you're not good enough, criticizing everything, not realizing you're just putting yourself in this unrealistic comparison of an idea, the type of self-editing that is more unhelpful than helpful. And now the important thing to understand is the Hangman card specifically references the idea of timing. Now, when we talk about the concept of timing, sometimes it just isn't the right time. That's why when you feel like things feel off, or you're not in your flow, or you're like, I'm so confused, I was like the perfect person for that part, why didn't it work out? Sometimes you're not meant for things, but sometimes it's just a timing thing. It wasn't the right time and energy for you, or the position you were going to get, or whatever, or person you wanted to be romantically entangled with, whatever. But the thing is, this is almost like you getting in your way and creating that sense of ill timing. And creating, the way my spirit guide described it, is like things feel off. It's like you're right there, nothing's completely wrong, you're just feeling something a little bit out of sync. And when you feel that ever during this month, that's you just letting yourself know you're being overly critical. And you would then want to just check in with yourself, and you could change it in a second, and this is your sign to be like, oh, whoops, let me be honest with myself. Am I cute? I think I'm a little more cuter than I realize I am. Am I a little bit nicer than I am? I think I'm a pretty good person. Am I more creative than I'm giving myself credit for? Yeah, I think I am. And then just checking in and giving yourself basically a love session and being aware that that self-editing is kind of going down a route that's not helpful. And this is your reflection of that. Easy to fix, but a great sign and sort of inner compass to go, ooh, I'm going down a different direction. I didn't mean to. And then let's say you're checking in with yourself and you're going, you know what? I'm being real with myself. I've been holding myself back for a long time. I think I should be a little more proactive. It doesn't mean about criticizing that part of yourself that is not being as productive as you want to be, but checking in and being like, you know what, I've been sitting on the sidelines for a little while. I'm ready to be more proactive. That's like a version of self-editing that's really beneficial, and so on and so forth. This is then when you get the King of Pentacles. This is a big deal. So essentially, you get very financially rewarded for being self-editing. And this talks about not only the idea of, and I was getting into specifics with my spirit guide, I said, do you mean that they get a lot of money or they make a lot of money? As in, like, you're making the right moves to attract money and make decisions that bring in more money. And I'm happy to report it's both. So it's a combination of you being such in flow with yourself that there's just a lot of financial flow in return coming your way. It's sort of the universe reflecting itself. Oh my God. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. I gotta fix my desk. Sometimes I can hear when the leg moves, and I don't want my desk. You're gonna stay, desk. Mental note, go fix that in a second. Continuing on. So essentially, really awesome, positive financial return for all of this tuning into yourself and lifting yourself up and making yourself the best version of yourself you can be, kind of thing. With love, keep in mind, we're not trying to yell at the parts of ourselves that aren't, compatible or working for us. Then we have the Hierophant card upright. This is associated with the King of Pentacles. Again, you making decisions to make money and feeling like you know what to do and seeing the benefits of it, as well as just purely receiving it, like money flowing your way, just in general. But the Hierophant, I was told in this circumstance, is separate in the sense that the Hierophant is valid as an idea and will in the end benefit you either way, no matter where you go throughout the month in attunement with yourself with the self-editing. So in the Hierophant, I was told you should start this at the beginning of the month, but my spirit guide said you're going to specifically dedicate yourself pretty seriously to something new, and you're going to really get intense into studying it. So a new subject, new concept, new skill, something, and you're just going to treat it as if you're your own person, like your own version of schooling. So let's say you're like, you know what, I have been meaning to learn Photoshop for so long. January is my month. And you're going to every day come home from work or whatever you're doing, and you're going to spend like an hour focusing on it, reading tutorials, practicing it, trying things out. And you're going to treat it like, hey, if I put in a little bit of time each day, I'm going to make my way ultimately to really understanding this skill. Now, I was told that when you are more in that nice, even flow of being aware of yourself in that kind of way and self-editing, and you're in that flow making money, this is going to benefit you right then. But if for whatever reason you're trying to figure out, you can't quite be self-aware enough, you're not in that position to notice when you're sort of putting yourself down rather than lifting yourself up. Oh my God, sorry. You essentially, this will add up at just another point in time. You're going to benefit from this either way, from both fun, learning a new skill, and you will financially benefit from it in the long run, but it might not be something you'll see right away, again, depending on where you're at. And remember, keep in mind, if throughout the month you find yourself returning to this feeling, you can switch it in a second to this, and then that can benefit that. Either way. It's all good either way. So moving forward, then we have this scenario, which is a little bit of, again, annoying is the quality I like to describe. Nothing here is really serious. So in the Six of Pentacles upright, this is the version of yourself that is quite giving to the people you love. And that's a wonderful quality. We're not trying to change that about you. But over here in the Five of Wands is specifically talking about a potential scenario with a friend. I was specifically told a friend. I asked if it was other options. It's specifically a friend. This is a scenario where your giving nature is not meaning to be taken advantage of. Like, this individual is not trying to put you in a position where, they're taking advantage of your kindness and stuff like that. I want to be absolutely clear about that. That is not their intention. And it's lovely that you want to be so generous, but somewhere along the line in the month, it's like if you don't start setting boundaries at some point between that mix of like, oh, I got your back, and sometimes being like, oh, I got your back, but right now I'm working on this other stuff, I just don't have the time right now. Things like that, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean you have to sort of cut it off or set a permanent boundary. It's just sort of putting yourself first in your life before you overly give it to someone else. You could potentially, keyword could, find yourself in a position where, I am so nervous about my desk. She's gonna be okay. We're putting out good vibes. you could be in a potential position where it's frustrating. I'm really happy to say it's simply frustrating, because Five of Wands traditionally just talks about fighting, confrontation, but I was told my spirit guide said, no, just describe it as frustrating. Because when we look at the Five of Wands energy, minus the fighting, it's this feeling where between two people, multiple people, everybody's sharing their thought, their input, their emotions, their energy, and everybody feels they're in the right. And so when they all come together and share what they think and feel, what ends up happening is nobody seems to make any progression. And because no one will back down. Sometimes that energy is really intense and it's hostile and it's like no one will back down and they're mad about it. But sometimes it's just this feeling of like, no one's hearing anyone. This is so annoying. It's like that vibe type of thing. So again, we're just describing it as frustrating. And this doesn't even have to happen. You and your friend are good to go. They're a good person. They are worthy of being friends with you. Everything's cool. It's just somewhere around the month. Be in check with yourself when you're very over-loving, giving nature of your attention, time, advice. Every now and then you need to put yourself first. Not a big deal. Set the boundary. Friend's going to understand. And you and this friend just don't need to be in this circumstance. See what I mean? We find it. We see what happens in the month. We prevent it. Easy peasy. Now, we have two more things to talk about. One, we have the Seven of Cups in reverse. Super easy as well. It appears towards the end of the month, you're going to get a bunch of social opportunities specifically. I did ask my spirit guide, business opportunities, romantic offers, what is it going to be? It's specifically social opportunities. And this is exciting. This is very fun and cool that you're going to get all these things. But ultimately, with this card being in reverse, it talks about the idea that you need to kind of narrow it down. The way my spirit guide described it is you don't have to pick one, you can pick a couple, because there are going to be so many sort of offers thrown your way. But you do want to narrow it down, because if you don't, what will end up happening is you're going to feel so pulled and drawn apart by all these other individuals and potential possibilities of fun you could have, like that fear of missing out type of feeling, that if you get pulled in too many directions, it basically makes most of or all of the experiences not as much fun, because you're mentally always somewhere else, or wishing you had gone somewhere else, or concerned what someone else is thinking because you didn't do X, Y, and Z. So you're just going to make it really straightforward to everyone. You're going to pick, narrow it. So let's say you get 10 options. You're going to narrow it down to 3 or 4. You're going to let everyone know, hey, this is what I'm deciding. No worries. Have a great time. And then basically just saying, have fun. Avoid feeling in your head. Easy peasy. And I'm also excited for you to get all these fun things to do very soon. And then last but not least, we have the Nine of Wands upright. So the way this was described to me is something is going to be thrown in your direction that will initially feel like you want to put up the defense. This is really important to pay attention to this idea. If you look over here in this imagery, this individual has their defenses up because of this big shadow, and they can defend themselves. And my spirit guide even said, when you have this initial reaction, you're going to feel very defensive. And my spirit guide even said, it is okay if you want to put up a little of those defenses as a way to sort of prove to yourself that no matter what, backup plan, you got you. You're going to make sure everything turns out A-okay and like you got your back. But my spirit guide also pointed out the shadow over here. This shadow is in placement of a crow. So when it's really close to the sun, really big, this shadow looks enormous. Looks like something you need to defend yourself from. But in reality, when the crow comes down and lands, it's nothing. It's not a big deal at all. And that is the reality of the circumstance that you're essentially going to experience. That everything's fine, everything's totally cool, it's not a big deal. You will not initially feel very defensive. And my spirit guide said, just give yourself a second to breathe. Give yourself a second to look at the situation as a whole. And you're going to quickly realize everything's fine. It just looked scarier than it initially was. So ultimately, this is comfort and letting you know just to take a second before you fully react. So overall, a really good month, a lot of just giving yourself a second and turning out everything is all right. Being very loving of yourself, getting lots of rewards for it. Learning a new skill, setting some boundaries, getting a lot of fun options socially. As you can tell, it's a very fun month for you, and I'm very excited for you. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to see, I read all your comments. And please leave this video a like, a comment, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and potentially even share. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. I am sincerely wishing you the best. I love you. I will see you in the next one. And let's get ready for our final group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out how your January 2022 is gonna go by looking at the cards. What's gonna happen? First we have, actually I want to take the affirmation card out first. I love and accept myself as a unique individual. Oh, I love that. We have Page of Pentacles upright, 3 of Wands in reverse, the single cutest Page of Wands card that has ever existed. Oh, another Page of Wands. Oh, I love that. We have the 8 of Pentacles upright, the 8 of Swords in reverse, and we have the Emperor card in reverse. These two feel heavily associated with one another. Give me just 1 second to look at everything, and I can already hear my spirit guide talking, so let me go consult them as well. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, this is so sweet. So, I love this. So let's first start with your affirmation card. My spirit guide said some really nice stuff around you that we're going to talk about in 1 second once we go over it. So first, I love and accept myself as a unique individual. And when we read the back, it says, use this gift when it seems that you are not being accepted for any reason, but especially if it is because you are different from other people or because you want to be different. You do not need the acceptance of ignorant or intolerant people. You cannot change anyone else. What you need is to love and accept yourself for being a good person. But I want to focus on what my spirit guide said. They specifically went out of their way to say that you are very unique. And I want to be clear, spirit guides don't say anything like this unless they really mean it. And they said sometimes this individual, you watching, feels like they're doing something wrong after a while because, you're living your life, you are uniquely existing. And sometimes it adds up where you feel like you're doing things so much different than other people, and you feel like you just don't, fit into sort of how society wants to function, that you start to doubt, who you are, and essentially, should you start to conform? And my spirit guide said, no, you are doing nothing wrong, and you should completely keep doing what you're doing. You're doing everything right. Keep being your best unique self, which I think is incredibly beautiful. Let me just see if I have permission to express one idea. Okay, I do have permission to talk about it. Okay, so there's this one spirit guide in particular who's really wonderful. In your lifetime, you will knowingly, consciously or unconsciously work with a ton of different spirit guides. And they all hold multiple meanings. Like, even if they sort of represent something or often work with certain ideas, that doesn't mean they don't work with similar ideas of another spirit guide. They're multifunctional. Think about yourself as a person. You might have a favorite career or thing of interest, but that doesn't mean you can't talk about something else, or you don't have opinions, or can't easily work in another skill. Think of it like that. But there's one spirit guide in particular, and one of their sort of main focuses is they often work with and are the forever guide of some people who are sort of quite outcasted in society. And they said that these individuals are very pivotal in changing things and making things different and better. And it's really beautiful. They really go out of their way to like protect and make sure those individuals can exist in the greatest amount of comfort. And they try to give as much comfort as they can and are allowed to give, depending on the permission of the individual, obviously. Because remember, free will's thing and everything. And they speak with such love about people who are seen as almost too unique, and they pretty much totally are meant to exist, of course, and they literally have like sort of an assigned spirit guide, if you will, to facilitate that and help them in being the best version of themselves and being who they are meant to be, true to themselves, in themselves and within their relationship to society. So that's so beautiful. I love that my spirit guide went out of the way to say that, and I just wanted to let you know that's a thing in the spirit realm, that every person is meant to exist and is totally pivotal to this great big puzzle we have of the entire universe. And I just think it's really beautiful. So anyways, going on. So we have the Page of Pentacles. This is more being held for its page representation, as well as this imagery on the card. The reason why I'm pointing this out is if you were a new tarot reader yourself, fun fact, you can read tarot cards however you want. I go into great detail of how to read them and this reality in the tarot training course I have in the description below. But I can choose to, and my spirit guide was telling me to choose to focus on the page representation, which talks about the idea of a student, and I'm more focusing on the imagery of the card. Now, why is that important? Well, if you can see, there's a page in every suit, so technically it sort of has that student vibe in all of the pages, but that doesn't mean that is necessarily the topic of discussion in other cards. So I'm just sharing what's popping up here. So over here in the beginning of the month, I was told you're going to be given this opportunity where you're sort of taking on a student role. And you're basically being advised to really take it in that mindset as well. Like really go out of your way to see that you're new to all of this stuff that you're being shown. Take notes, have fun learning, ask questions of what if I do this? What about this? What would that entail? And have fun learning, because I was told that taking on this mindset and taking this type of approach when you're given this opportunity in the beginning of the month is going to really, 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 really benefit you in the long run. So think of like the beginning of January and just in general taking on this mindset throughout January as sort of prepping towards another month that you're going to be so happy that you did that. So you're giving it that attention. And I also want to point out that this type of mindset is incredibly fun. You feel like you can do no wrong. Everything's new. It's exciting. It makes you view the world in a different way. It's pretty awesome. Now going forward, we have the Three of Wands and the absolutely precious, adorable Page of Wands over here. So cute. Please let me know in the comments below. Did you also fall in love? So cute. So adorable. So in the Three of Wands in reverse, this is actually not being read in reverse. It's being read upright, and it's interacting with the Page of Wands by being in reverse. So this is about messages being sent, but specifically my spirit guide said it's about you in person delivering the message yourself, which then creates the Page of Wands. So what I mean by this is normally this card refers to ideas like text messages, phone calls, this idea that either messages are coming your way or you're sending out messages and you're like maybe you're contacting someone or whatever. In this particular case and scenario, there's sort of like a message within your heart, something you have to say and share. And in this opportunity and position, how are they, hold on, let me just check something. Okay, I was just double checking if there's a way to identify how you know this is your message in this particular scenario. My spirit guide said it was very, very obvious, you would know, but it's this type of thing that you know that you want to share or put out there or deliver, but whatever it may be, it's something that needs to be sort of like metaphorically and physically delivered in person. So it's like, this is just an example. This is not what's going to happen. This is just like an example. So let's say you wanted to accept a position for a job, but instead of just emailing back, you're like, you know what? I can feel it in my heart. Maybe it's this cool job where you're going to learn how to do ceramic pottery. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to I'm really feeling this. You're going to go in person and you go drive to the ceramic pottery in person and you go, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm really excited. I fully accept the position and whatever. I'm pumped. And by you doing that, this is when we get the Page of Wands upright. I was told that by doing this, you're shifting something really big in you. And I did double check that you don't have to travel very far to deliver this message within you to someone else in person. Now, the Page of Wands makes this huge change in you. And this is then what is the representation of this idea of this new path in life. Like a path gets opened up from you choosing and making this action. And this is a really big deal because this path and concept of like something new in your life, you're going down a new route that you've created for yourself. And remember, when it comes to like timelines, possibilities, you have a lot of options in life. There is a flow and you're in your flow, but you can change that flow. And it's a big deal when you literally change the path and change the flow. So it's a really big deal that you've created this new route. And that route then leads to this Page of Wands and this imagery over here. As you can tell, this individual is sort of taken on a new tree form. They're very unique looking, very underneath the whole unique card. And the way my spirit guide described it is, you're going to sort of start to evolve. And it's less about you full on evolving as in you move to a new location, you totally change everything about where you work and all the people you know. I mean, I'm not saying there can't be certain parts of that are true. It's more this idea that in the location that you're at, you start to evolve so much in the way you are. Maybe you do change your style within the way you're dressing right there, the way you interact with people, everything, the way you see the world, whatever, that in this garden that you're growing, just metaphorically, you actually start to change your environment based on the way you are. Like your environment starts to change with you. And that's not only like a really powerful lesson to learn, because sometimes we feel like when we need a change, we feel like we need that whole shift and like we need to go in a totally different direction and go to a new place. But sometimes it can actually come from within, and you can be such a force to be reckoned with that everything bends and molds around you. I mean, technically, that is the reality when it comes to manifesting, and we're all just trying to like wake up and realize that is the reality. And so this is you like really so self-empoweredly going deeper into your uniqueness and going deeper into expressing it, seeing the evolved state of it, going even further, and everything around you changes and metamorphosizes around you. Isn't that crazy? It's different than the death card. It's like instead of you just purely being the butterfly, it's like everything becomes the butterfly around you. It's really beautiful. So it's a big deal that you feel in your heart this message you need to share and you deliver it in person. Remember, this can be very varied. This can be something you want to say to somebody else, that this act of declaration opens this path up and opens up this evolution that happens throughout January. This can be a job interview. I mean, this could be anything, but you're going to know, it's going to feel like very deep in you that you're like, I know what to say and I'm going to go there in person. So I love it. It's like a mini pilgrimage, if you will. So anyways, we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Emperor in reverse, and the Eight of Swords in reverse. And I'm very happy to say the Eight of Swords in reverse is popping up because these three are all correlated and it is kind of not a fun situation. So as you can tell, these two individuals here are groveling over this big guy, and he is very comfortable making others uncomfortable. Unfortunately, this is a boss scenario. There's some sort of work scenario where somebody is ahead of you. Hold on, let me just double check something. I was just double checking if you own your own business. I was told there's still someone like above you, like maybe this is like an opportunity given you or something like that. And it feels like everyone around you is groveling and sucking up to them, and sort of this person's putting out this energy to be like, you do what I say or else. Yeah, you should. And everyone else is like, oh my gosh, I'm too scared. Okay, I will. And essentially you over here are like, nope, I don't care. Nope. I do not see these limitations you think you're trying to create for us in this environment. Nope. And I want to talk about how intense that energy is, not to like freak you out or anything like that. Just, it's popping up again in the Emperor card, but and sometimes this is what's really interesting about tarot. The Emperor card in reverse by itself is representing somebody who's like like a not kind boss, somebody who's like very controlling, very in your business, just not the scenario. This never created a great work environment for somebody who's like abusing their power, so to speak. But we have them represented here, and we also have the other scenario represented here. And then we have you represented here. And I'm really happy to talk about this in one moment. Sometimes in cards, you're going to get duplicates or confirmation cards to talk about the intensity of something, as we saw over here in the Page of Wands, which is why I'm such an advocate for working with multiple tarot cards. But this is a fantastic example, I'm happy to say, that it's less about it throwing it into your face, because sometimes cards duplicate, or the scenario keeps popping up multiple times in the tarot cards because you're basically getting the answer of being like, this is the most important thing for you to need to know, or this is how intense it is, or something like that. Sometimes the cards are sort of working as a metaphor. Usually they're always working as a metaphor, but the point being is they're working as a metaphor like this, and saying like, here you are sandwiched in the middle, and despite you being sandwiched in the middle of all of this, you just slide right out. Not even an issue, not even a problem, doesn't even bother you. The limitations they created are also the limitations they are experiencing from themselves, which isn't that how it always goes when people can be like this, work environment or not. So what I mean by that, in the Eight of Swords in reverse, this is somebody who realizes, whether it be their own self-limiting beliefs or somebody trying to create a scenario where they're like, yeah, you don't have options, when in reality, whether you decide to accept what they have to say or not is really more the problem. They don't actually have power. Like, you have power whether or not to give them power. And when it's in reverse, this is somebody going, yep, I don't see any limitations. I see no walls. I don't feel barricaded in. I feel like I have got all the options I possibly want. I feel comfortable. I feel good. In so many words. So when we have this Eight of Swords in scenario, this is you sliding out of the situation. I was told that you don't go tete-a-tete with this other person. There's no like, you don't give them attitude. You don't really give them anything. You sort of, like everyone else, is sucking up to them, and when they're sort of in their face, giving them what they want attention-wise, and they try to put their attention on you, you always just skillfully slip behind the scenes and get a cup of coffee, or perfectly get distracted at the right moment, and you're not involved in this. And essentially, because you just internally and mentally have made the decision to be like, dude, you have no power over me. I'm completely unaffected by this. I see right through you. I'm good. I'm so unaffected by this, I'm not even having a reaction to it. What ends up happening is, initially it's just like you're successfully not dealing with the brunt of them. Let me just double check that. Yeah, my spirit guide said absolutely correct. Okay, awesome. But my spirit guide did say you're going to actually go above and beyond sliding out of this scenario, where there are going to be opportunities that present itself where it would be like getting a whole new job in a different department or a different store, or you just get a better job in general, and everyone else is so caught up in this stuff, and you're like, not only am I working my dream job, I'm getting paid more money, I'm uninvolved with this. You know, it's as if it feels like the world is just constantly giving you like opportunities and giving you situations, and no one holds any power over you. So I love that. I love that this is just not going to even be an issue for you, but do keep that in mind, to just keep that sort of neutral, like, yeah, I'm so unbothered, why would I even need to react, and just like patiently letting the universe sort of throw things in your way to block you and this other person before you get fully out of this scenario, which will be very soon. Will it be in January? My spirit guide was like, it will completely be in January. I love that. So very exciting. That has the subtext of a better situation popping up besides just getting out of another one. It's just letting you know, like, definitely do not confide in your coworkers. They're very much in a fear mode and groveling to this individual. Who cares? They hold no power. They're in their own head. Everyone else is giving into the story. You aren't. and then get excited for this huge positive path changing decision thing, growing, evolving person, and redefining how you're manifesting and how you're so in your you-ness that it affects everything else around you. Pretty awesome January, pretty epic January. I love this. I love the unique you. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Please give this video a like, a comment like I just said, a subscribe, hit that notification bell, maybe even share if you can. It helps out the channel a lot. Either way, I am wishing you the best. I wish you a happy January. I love you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye!